Hi everyone, welcome back to Novel Idea. My name is Dia. Today I have a FebRegency tag that was created by our hosts of FebRegency this year, and that is Emma at A Bookish Princess and Christy Lewis at Dostoevsky in Space, Ms. Richards reads Stephanie, and Tristan at Tristan and the Classics. And Stephanie actually tagged me in her video, and I wanted to make sure to do this while FebRegency was happening. So that's what we're doing today. We are doing the FebRegency tag. Today's tea is blackberry sage. It's really good. It's one of my favorites. It doesn't sound like it would be good, but it is so yummy. I love it. Okay, so I have the questions down here on my computer. So I am going to be reading from down here. So forgive me if I'm not looking at you. So the first question is to name your top 3 Regency authors. And this is really hard because even though I haven't really read that many Regency authors, there really aren't that many Regency authors that are still in print that we can read today. And so I'm going to give you the 3 that I have read the most from, even though I wouldn't say that they are my absolute favorite authors. Of course, Jane Austen, which is the one that FebRegency is all about. It's the one that created this whole event to begin with. I have read all of Jane Austen's work that I know is out there, with the exception of the Watsons. I've read Sanditon, I've read Lady Susan, and I've read all 6 of her major novels. I don't know that I have read the Watsons. And I've read also some of her juvenilia. So anyway, yes, Jane Austen. Sir Walter Scott is another one that I have read quite a lot from. In fact, this last month, I just read another of his. I read The Antiquary, and I just really enjoy his style of writing. So, and then finally, the other one that I've probably read the most from in the Regency period would be Anne Radcliffe or Maria Edgeworth. I'm not sure if I've read more of one than the other, but I'm gonna go with those 3. Okay, name your top 3 Regency poets. Okay, so again, very difficult for me, but William Blake, I think, is probably one. I just bought, here it is. I actually just bought this a couple of years ago, and it is the Poems of Innocence and Experience for Children, and it is a Newbery Award winner and a Caldecott medalist. And so it's wonderful. You get pictures along with his poetry. And so this is just great and really solidified how much I enjoy him. And so there's that. And then John Keats, he didn't live very long. I don't think, but his poetry was just lovely. It was so beautiful. And then I have William Cooper, who looks like Cowper or Cowper, but it's Cooper. So I would say him, maybe Robert Burns. Robert Burns is related to us on my husband's side of the family. And so we kind of did a deep dive into him when I had kids that were in school still and we were homeschooling. We kind of did a deep dive into Robert Burns. So I've read quite a lot of him. So it could be Robert Burns too. Next is favorite historical event that happened during this time period, during the Regency, in Britain or elsewhere. And honestly, I didn't know a whole lot about what was going on during this time other than the Napoleonic Wars, and I wouldn't say that those are my favorite. So I looked some things up, and that is the Lewis and Clark expedition was happening, and it happened over a period of several years. The Second Great Awakening was happening in the United States as well during that time period. And that's something that you just never hear about in history lessons, especially not if you go to public school like I did. So I would say that that's definitely rivaling for a top event that was happening during the Regency. Beethoven wrote and performed for the first time several of his symphonies and sonatas, and I think that that would have been pretty incredible to be a witness of. And then lastly, Cadbury opened its doors for the very first time in England and began to sell chocolate. I'm allergic to chocolate, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't bring a lot of people a lot of joy. So I will go with those. Those are my favorite events. Okay, next we have, the year is 1816. It is a dark and stormy night on Lake Geneva, and you are telling ghost stories with these legendary writers. Who are they? Bonus points if they are Regency era writers. So I don't know for sure that these are Regency. In fact, I think one of them is not Regency, but maybe one is, but not English. So the three that I went with are Dostoevsky. Stephanie actually said this in hers, and I remember reading a couple of quote-unquote ghost stories by Dostoevsky, and they are funny. So I think that Dostoevsky would bring levity to the situation, which I would need if we were sitting around telling ghost stories. So Dostoevsky, Edgar Allan Poe, because I love him, and Washington Irving. Those would be my ghost story people. I love all three of those authors. I love all three of their quote-unquote scary stuff, and I love the fact that there is almost always more meaning to what they are saying than what is being said. Just what is being said. Okay. Next, we have the Regency era is named after the Regency of George, Prince of Wales, who ruled in the stead of his father, King George III, from 1811 to 1820. If you had to appoint a regent to rule your booktube channel in your stead, who would it be? So I have two answers for this. And the first one would be Tiffany from Beautiful Minutia, because she and I just have very similar tastes. Almost 99% of what we read, we agree on. And so I would say Tiffany would be a great one to rule in my stead, even though I don't feel like I'm really ruling. But the other one that I wrote down would be my two daughters. I think that they would do a great job together, because one of them reads like a ton of books, and she doesn't read necessarily the same kind of books that I would read. And the other one reads very similar books to what I would read, but she doesn't read a lot of them. And so I think that between the two of them, they would do a really good job on here. And they're just fun to watch when they're together. So I'm gonna go with those two possibilities. Question 6 is the Regency period, much literature of the Regency period is categorized as romantic. What word would you use to describe today's literature? Let me caveat this with saying I don't read a whole lot of contemporary literature, stuff that has been written in the last 50 years, let's say. But these words will tell you why I don't. I would use the words disenchanted, exploratory, reactionary, and unromantic. There's just not a whole lot in contemporary literature that I want to read about. There's not anything that lifts me up, that gives me hope, that brings me joy. So it's hard for me to read, to pick up a book and to not expect the worst in a contemporary book. All right, the next one says, Shakespeare plays were popular during the Regency. What artistic performances have you enjoyed recently? Movies, TV, and music all count. And honestly, I'm the most boring person alive. I don't watch television. I don't go to the movies. I don't go to plays, although I did watch Antigone on YouTube. I watched it like a YouTube recording, performance, video of Antigone recently. But I don't go to plays. I don't go to the movies. I don't watch television. The only time that I really listen to music is like first thing in the morning, and it's background. I don't pay attention to the artists or the words or any of that. So I really don't have anything to put in this category. I am so lame. I'm so lame. Number 8, the Regency period was characterized by high fashion. What is a current fashion trend in the book community that you either adore or detest? Both of which are really strong words. I don't know that I adore or detest any of them, but I will say that things that I appreciate about BookTube currently and what it is doing, as well as Instagram and what the Bookstagram community is doing, is just that it feels like there's an emphasis on being authentic, and there is an emphasis on no pressure. Like, we don't expect you to do what I am doing. I don't expect for, people to read the amount of books that I do, for people to read the same kind of books that I do. I don't think that we are expecting to, I don't think that we want to criticize people for having an opinion about something that we love or that we hate. I think that we just want to be able to talk about books and to have very open and honest conversations about them. And so I would say that that is something that I really love right now in this community. Some things that I really don't get into or care for are things like book talk, or like the shorts or the reels, that kind of thing. I don't get into those, or making them, or doing little like voiceover type stuff, acting them out. That's just not me. So I don't get into that. The other thing that I really don't like that's happening a lot in books right now, including in the fantasy books and in the contemporary stuff, is that we are getting just a lot of vulgar language. And I don't mind language if it is used appropriately, but what I have found is that it is used continuously. It's gratuitous, and I don't appreciate it. I don't like it. It's one of the reasons why I really don't want to read a lot of contemporary literature. And that's, so those are some things that I don't really care for. All right, here it is. Number 9, last one. Jane Austen's novels show us the importance of etiquette in the drawing rooms of Regency England. Tell us about your personal rating system. So this is something I don't really do anymore on my channel. When I very first started, I did a 0 to 100, and I still do that, but I do it more for my personal use. I don't really put it out there and talk about it too much anymore. I just feel like it's fine to tell you how I felt about a book. I just had a hard time giving an author a grade or rate or percentage of my enjoyment level, because I'm just one person, and my tastes are not everybody's tastes. And so I just want to tell you what I loved about it, what I didn't enjoy about it, and maybe even be able to recommend it to people who like other books that are similar, but I just don't want to rate it. So there you go, you guys. That is the FebRegency Book Tag. And I am going to go ahead and tag a couple of people. I know with Emma and with Christy, they didn't actually tag people. They just said everybody's tagged. And Stephanie tagged me. And so I'm going to go ahead and tag a couple of people just because I want to see more people doing it. So I am thinking that Courtney from Courtney Reads should probably do this. And Anne from In Search of Wonder should probably do this. And who else could I tag? Maybe Chelsea from Voyage of a Time Wanderer. If you are taking part in FebRegency, I would love to see you do this tag also. Okay, that's everything for me. Thanks so much for joining me today, you guys. If you don't have a channel and you want to answer these questions, please put them in the comment box down below and let me know what your answers would be. And I'm going to link all of the hosts and put the questions in the description box. Okay? I'll talk to you again very soon in another video. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to. Bye everyone.